Have you ever purchased a product just for its eye-catching packaging? If so, you are not alone. Effective product packaging is crucial for the success of any product. In this video, we will discuss why packaging design matters so much, the difference between a mock-up and a dieline, and how a 3D rendering of the product can help the client understand how the packaging is going to look in real life. Ciao besties! Welcome or welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Viviana, I'm a brand designer, and today we're going to design some cool packaging together. But why is it so important to design good packaging? How much does it actually affect the success of a business? Well, a lot. For product-based brands, a good packaging can create a positive first impression and can get the client to pick up the product and examine it. It can communicate the brand's message and values, it can make it stand out from competitors, and as we established, it can even influence the client's purchase decision. Now, if you've ever worked on a passion project, you have probably designed packaging using mockups. But designing for a mockup and designing real packaging are two separate things, and they should be approached differently. When you design for a mockup, you only design what is going to be shown in the image without taking into account the logistics of the measurements, the size, printing, and literally anything that goes into that process. This may work for fictitious projects, but not for real packaging, because in that case, we use dielines. Dielines are a 2D blueprint of the package that shows all the necessary details like shape, size, and layout that is going to be used by printers to make the packaging. Sometimes a design made on a mockup can be easily translated into a dieline, but other times it can't. To show you what I mean, we're going to use as an example the package design of a branding that I created on this channel, Giallo, a lemon iced tea brand. For this brand at the time, I only designed a can packaging, and this is what it looked like. Pretty simple design as you're seeing. The main feature is the contrast between this beautiful gradient and the bold typography. But let's see if this design would actually work in real life. First, we need a dieline, and for that, I'm heading over to Pactora, the sponsor of today's video. So this is the Pactora homepage. Let's go on templates and dielines, and of course we are looking for a can. So let's click here, and as you can see, there's a lot of different cans, but we need just the regular beverage can. Here you will see that we have the dieline, the 3D rendering, and the mockup preview. So if we look at the 3D rendering, we will see that this is just a regular can, but if we compare it to my mockup, I use a slightly taller can, a more elongated can. So I've selected this one, and I think it matches really well with what I designed on the mockup. So now let's download the dieline and open it in Adobe Illustrator. We already have all the information that we need. We have the bleed, the trim line, and the crease. In this case, it's super important to have information on the crease because our packaging isn't completely flat. We have a crease, so we have to make sure that our design doesn't go above the crease unless we want to. On the side, I have all the elements that I need for our packaging design. I already have information on the ingredients and the business because I use this actually in my mockup. So everything is already set up and ready to go. This is the gradient that I've used throughout the entire presentation, the logo, the packaging, everything. So let's position it correctly on the dieline, and it looks pretty good so far. So let's move on to the logo. As I said, the main feature of this can is this big typography, which I absolutely love. And then we're gonna add the other two elements. So the ingredients and the information about the company. Looks pretty good, honestly, pretty faithful to what I did on the mockup. So now our next step is to group everything and export it as a PNG. So let's go on Pactora's online creator and upload our image. Let's switch to mockup mode. Works pretty great so far, works pretty great until it doesn't. Thanks to the 3D rendering, I'm noticing a really big mistake. Our gradient isn't seamless. So although it looks really good at the front, then when it connects on the back, we see the difference. We see a clear line. If I didn't check this first and I sent it to the client, it would have been a really bad surprise. I cannot stress enough how important it is to check that your packaging works before you officially send it. So this mistake is actually pretty easy to fix. We just have to make our gradient seamless. So let's go back on Adobe Illustrator and let's switch our gradient to a seamless one. So now, as we're seeing, the gradient is completely seamless and the can looks fantastic. I love this. This would have been a complete disaster if we didn't check, but luckily we did. This dieline was pretty easy and intuitive because overall it was just a flat dieline, but things can get a little more complicated when the packaging needs to be folded and assembled. So let's take it up a notch. Let's design a box. For this brand, I'm imagining like a gift box or a PR box. So not the type of box that you will find in supermarkets, but the kind of box that gets sent to you. This detail can be really important when it comes to packaging, and I'll show you later why. So now let's go back to Pactora Packdora to find the dieline for our box. Oh, and by the way, if you want to try out Packdora for yourself, you can use my promo code VG50 to get 50% off any of the subscriptions. The link is in the description, just saying. So here we are looking for boxes, and for this box I want to do something different, and I really like this one because it doesn't have any flaps at the top when you open it. I don't know where I'm picturing gift boxes or PR boxes, I'm picturing a box like this, but since we are designing this packaging realistically, we have to be sure that our cans will fit into this box. I want the cans to be put horizontally inside the box, so we have to make sure that the measurements match, and they don't, because our cans are 207 millimeters long while our box is 203. On Packdora you can actually change the size of your box, so we're just gonna do that, and to be sure we're gonna put 210. So now we're gonna download the dieline and open it on Adobe Illustrator just like we did before. As you're seeing, I've decided to make the box cream white and not use the gradient because we are using it already on the cans and I don't want it to be too overwhelming. So I think that having that contrast is gonna be like cool. In the dieline we have our box sideways, but of course this is not how our box is gonna be viewed. You know, when people will hold the box, they will not hold it this way. So what do? If we want to avoid bending our neck and tilting our head constantly throughout this design, we can use a little trick that I use all the time when I'm designing packaging, which is rotate view. So let's right click on the hand tool and choose rotate view, and just like that our artboard will rotate, and if we press shift we can have like perfect angles, and here we are. Now we are seeing the box as it should be. So for the top part, so the most important part I would say, the easy thing would be to put on the logo, but I don't want to do that because again this is a gift box, a PR box, so the client already knows exactly what they're getting. I want to put a slogan. When I created this brand, the slogan was fight the heat with Giallo, so I created this little slogan thing here. I've used some elements of the branding to make this. If you want to see how I made this brand from scratch, you can do that because I did this on this channel. Now let's move on to our flap. As we have seen from the mockup and the 3D rendering, this flap is going to be inside, so when the box is completely folded it's not going to be shown, but it will be shown once someone opens the box. So I want to put some information that it's not vital, but it's a nice surprise when someone opens the box. I've decided to put socials, so just the website and social media. We are done with this part. We're gonna keep everything linear and simple. This brand has a really like modern minimalistic vibe but still bold. Now your first instinct might be to keep designing this way, but we have to remember that this box is gonna be folded, so each section of the box needs to be designed from a different perspective. Here I have an example. If we fold the box, the logo mark needs to be written this way. But if we open it again, we will see that these two elements are not designed from the same perspective, because otherwise this would be backwards. I actually suggest to print the dieline at the beginning of the process every time because it's the easiest way to be sure that every element will be where it should be. So let's press S to go back to our original view and use the rotate view tool again, but this time on the other side. Okay, now we can move on. For the back side of the box, I just want to put the logo mark because we haven't used it anywhere in this design. Then we have the bottom. Now, as I said before, this would be very different if this box was sold in supermarkets, because in that case we would have to put again all the information about the company and the ingredients just like we did in the can. But since this is not the case, we can do whatever we want. I actually created a pattern using the illustrations from the logo suite, and I don't know, I think it's super cool and interesting. I want this to get extended from the bottom to the two sides. I think it will break the composition a little, but this still feels a little bit empty. Like, okay, we want to keep it simple, but not that simple. So I'm gonna use the secondary logo, which is pretty similar to these illustrations, but I want it to stand out from the pattern. So using the offset path tool, I created a white shape so you can actually see the logo pop on the pattern, and I think we've got it. The last thing to do is add a design at the very front of the box. So this is very important, so I want to put like some ingredients or information about the product. But once again, if we keep designing this way, we would be in the wrong, because this part of the box will be folded inwards, so it has to be backwards. If it doesn't make sense at first, trust me, print the dieline and everything will be clear. So let's rotate all of this again and add some details about fresh lemons and natural ingredients. Again, I've used the same illustrations and this looks pretty cool, I would say. Let's upload this and go on mockup mode, and oh my god, it looks super cool. Oh my god, even cooler than I imagined. I absolutely love how the pattern shows up on the side sides just like I wanted. And if we turn around the box, the logo is exactly where it should be. Let's open the box now. Even the flaps work so good on the inside. And here we have our socials. Wow, 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 wow. Everything worked out perfectly, but if it didn't, we would see this in the rendering, and we don't. Good job, guys. So I think it's undeniable now that designing packaging using a dieline is the only way to be sure that the packaging is going to be accurate and that it represents how it's going to look in real life. As we have seen, it can help you identify mistakes and check that every element is exactly where it's supposed to be before it gets printed. Also, it will leave no room for misunderstanding or doubts on your client side, because thanks to the 3D rendering or the mockup, they will have a clear vision of the outcome. Now you know my secrets to designing the perfect product packaging. I hope this video was helpful. If it was, let me know by liking the video or subscribe to the channel for more. I'm on all social media, especially Instagram, so you can definitely find me there. Thank you so much again to Factura for sponsoring this video. Remember to check them out and use my promo code if you want to subscribe. And if you still have doubts about packaging and you want to learn even more, then check out this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you again in another video next week. Ciao!